Both sides are accusing the other of spreading misinformation about the new law. So 11 Alive's Januhar spent the day talking to our political analysts to get down to the facts behind some of the key provisions and the potential impacts.
First up, the provision in the new Georgia election law giving the State Board of Elections the power to take over local election systems that are underperforming. The law doesn't call out any specific counties, but talks generally about counties with long-term problems with lines and processing absentee ballots. Critics say it's targeting Fulton County, with the state's biggest Democratic voter base, and the lines we saw during the June primaries. Emory Poli-Sci Professor Dr. Andra Gillespie says it's a valid point.
Everybody's concern and the lack of trust that's just inherent in this entire discussion is whether or not people trust the State Board of Election, which has now changed. So the chair of the State Board of Election used to be the Secretary of State.
Instead, under the new law, the chairperson of the board, who is supposed to be nonpartisan, will now be elected by the General Assembly, which is currently majority Republican. Early voting hours are different too under this new law. Counties must offer voting between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. during weekdays, but can extend from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. if they choose, including 2 required early voting days on Saturdays.
Are there any systematic differences between the types of counties that choose the 8-hour option versus the 12-hour option? But it now is uniform and standard.
Another change stirring debate surrounds absentee ballot drop boxes. They were only around during the last election because of the pandemic. Now, the law requires all 159 counties to have at least one, something Dr. Gillespie says Republicans are touting as a benefit for voters. They must be located in only these 3 places: the office of the Board of Registrars, absentee ballot clerk, or inside polling locations that have early voting.
Because of these concerns about security that are not proven, drop boxes are now not outside where people can get to them 24 hours a day to drop off their ballots at their convenience.
Because this law hasn't been implemented yet, Dr. Gillespie says political analysts will study a few of these provisions to see who it impacts most and how.
A 4th lawsuit has now been filed against Georgia's new law. The suit, filed by 3 Asian American advocacy groups, claims the law creates barriers for Asian American voters. The suit focuses in particular on the changes the law makes to absentee voting. Fee Nguyen, litigation director for Asian American Advancing Justice Atlanta, says a significant number of Asian Americans preferred voting by mail in the recent election because of the pandemic, and the trend is likely to stick around.
There is an increased wave of anti-Asian violence that's been happening in our country, including in Georgia. And so I do think that contributes to worries about safety and fears of intimidation when people go to the polls.
3 other federal lawsuits have also been filed against the law. All of the suits challenge how the new voting law will impact minority voters. You can find much more on the controversy surrounding Georgia's election law right now on 11alive.com. We have posted a reaction from both sides, as well as the breakdown of what the law does and does not do.